This is Jim Fetzer with Ole Dammegard. Ole, I head upstairs and I find there's a new alleged terrorist attack in London, and it struck me that you had predicted this would happen. Fill us in on the background here.
Well, as you know, over the last few years, one of the things that we've found, or that I've become aware of, is that for some bizarre reason, they leave the people behind these operations that I humbly suggest are totally connected, both in the west of Europe and the US, Australia included, Canada included, through NATO and other security agreements between these countries. They, for some reason, leave clues about the next upcoming event. We had that in the Bataclan massacre, where there was this bizarre, it looked like a hot thing painted in blood around the bodies inside the Bataclan. Turned out to be the logo of the Brussels airport. And in the Brussels airport, in one of the cafes that had been blown up, there was a painting on the wall of the Eiffel Tower horizontal. So I went out and warned about the Eiffel Tower. Then the same day as the Nice attack happened, the Eiffel Tower was attacked as well. There was a big fire, apparent fire, with the whole Eiffel Tower was covered in smoke. Also, before the Copenhagen shooting, I went out 1 month before, said it's going to happen around this train station. And I thought the date that I thought it didn't occur on that date. Instead, it happened exactly 1 month later. And maybe it didn't happen on the exact date I said, because I went out open with it. Anyway, so in the Nice attack, we went through different things, and there was a very weird things that were shown towards Acropolis. So I went out and said, please be aware of possible attacks in Greece. Instead, just a few days later, it was the Olympia, not the Acropolis, but the Olympia, and in München, where the same players occurred again. Then the people filming in Nice, Richard Gutjahr, turned out that he's married to Einat Wilf, which is a member of the Knesset, the Israeli government, and who had a background, military background, connected to the Mossad. He was also in München filming. So he was both in Nice and in München filming. What are the chances? And then one of the main witnesses that was being interviewed on global media was his daughter, Tamina Stoll, who just a few weeks earlier had been taking photos of together with Hillary Clinton. I mean, it's bizarre. Then the Berlin attacks happen, and there's like a Christmas Santa Claus theme around Christmas in many of these attacks. It started in Denmark, also a member of NATO, where a police officer is said to have been gunned down. His last name was Jul, which means Christmas in Danish. And I totally do not I totally doubt that shooting in Denmark. Very bizarre one. Then this happened in Berlin, where the truck is said it's almost like a copycat thing of the Nice attack, where we totally debunked that very early on, showing that the forensic evidence doesn't match up at all. This was a Polish truck. It's the first time Poland has sort of entered into this weird, bizarre theater play of fake terror. And on site, just a few minutes before the truck hit this Christmas market, who do we find there? Well, we find the Israeli terror expert, Shlomo Shapiro. I mean, what are the chances? And he's a colleague of Einat Wilf, the wife of Richard Gutjahr. I mean, we're looking at the same players again and again. And he then did a whole tour in German TV, being interviewed repeatedly about these things. What are the chances? They both work at the university in Tel Aviv. Okay, so, but there were some photos taken in Berlin where some of the forensic people walked around looking exactly like Santa. And the rear of the truck, on some photos, they changed the color in Photoshop so it looked all golden and almost wrapped like a parcel, a package, you know. Merry Christmas, here you have a package of fake terror freaking you out over Christmas. Then you had the New Year's Eve attack in Istanbul, where outside the nightclub that was attacked, there was a big banner of a bearded guy punching Santa in the face. Then you had that they claimed that the shooter had been dressed like in a Santa outfit, but it turned out that the Turkish police, undercover police, were dressed like Santas, all of them Santa Claus. Okay, since 2015, they've been repeatedly going undercover as Santa Claus. Then we come to Fort Lauderdale, where there's this, once again, once you look at the forensic evidence, does not match up at all. At all. I've done many interviews taking these events apart. And so I was looking, is there any clue here for the next one? What are they up to? And then in the Fort Lauderdale thing, they were interviewing this bizarre individual called Santa Paul. I mean, he walks around, and when you take it frame by frame, they've done things to the images of him. You can see him coming in and out of the airport. He's being interviewed on TV. He's dressed in a bright green T-shirt and a bright red, trousers. It's like he's standing out like a, and then it looks almost like he's got like a tinfoil hat on. And he's being interviewed about the whole event. And he's interviewed both at the departure hall and the arrivals in the background, where he's walking around with a massive big dog. You can see him on many different photos, many different news casts. He's in the background. So when this man, when he was interviewed, it says Santa Paul, not his real name, Santa Paul. So I thought, my God, are they just putting it right in our face again? So I started looking for Santa Paul. I thought, is it St. Paul, Minneapolis? Is it the St. Paul Cathedral in London? And I couldn't find any signs of a possible attack there, because it's very often there's a drill involved right before the actual thing happens. Then, about 2 weeks later, on the 20th of January, I believe, there was the Melbourne attack, where a person is said to have done donuts with a car and then driven straight into the crowd, killing a lot of people. You start looking into the evidence again, does not match up once again. And then I found that they always do it on these very symbolic, important places, like 9/11. It was not by coincidence that they chose the buildings that sort of symbolized the USA. And it's not by coincidence they targeted the Eiffel Tower that symbolizes France. I don't think it was a coincidence that they were targeting Acropolis, which maybe they didn't attack just because we went out on shows like this and warning about it. So this train station in Melbourne is it's an icon for Melbourne and almost a symbol. It's beautiful old architecture. And what I found by coincidence was right opposite on the other side of the intersection where he was doing the donuts and where he was being filmed and directed. You can see he's being followed by 3 identical private police cars, and there's people directing the whole thing, and people, bouncers standing, holding back the crowd. It's just the whole setup is just not good. But right on the other side of the intersection is the St. Paul's Cathedral. So so I thought, oh, that was the one they were pointing at. So I've been going through hours and hours of footage from Melbourne saying, is there a clue here? Is there a clue? And what I saw was that some of the first footage that came out was filmed. The filming starts before the car starts doing donuts. And these things always alerts me, like, why did they film before it actually happened? Normally something happens, you pull out the camera and you start filming. Here, it's like the intersection is almost empty, and then you see the car enter and start doing donuts, and he zooms in on it. So why did he start from far away, and what was being filmed there? And right in the center of that, the first few seconds before he zooms in, he's filming a tower on the train station, the other part of the train station, where there's a tower that is almost identical to Big Ben. So in my newsletter that I came out with on March the 1st, that maybe we can share screen here, I encircled Big Ben, saying, is it possible that this could be the next tower? And here we are on, what is the date? It's March the 22nd, and we've just been reached by the news that there's been an attack on Westminster Bridge. Well, anyone who's been to London on Westminster Bridge, you will know that you're standing right in front of Big Ben. So now it's a series of attacks. They say that there was a car that hit the crowds exactly identical to Melbourne, that there's shootings. It looks like a Muslim bearded guy. I mean, my comment is, oh, God, give us a break.
Only so, you could hold up your newsletter or click share screen, and we may be able to do it right there.
Okay,
on your desktop. But you have really put them together, Ole. You have taken the dots and connected them. I mean, when you're able to predict in advance what they're going to do next, I say you're right on top of it. And
that is why I feel urgently that I want to share this with you if I can. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me know when you can see. It's loading here. I'm sorry for the delay, but
yeah, this is no problem. I think it says double click, I think, on your side. Go right ahead. I think you've got it.
So can you see?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So here, let me see if I can close this thing down. No.
It's okay. It's okay. Just go with what you got.
Okay. First of all, here is Shulamit Aloni. She's a former Israeli minister, and I have in my newsletter, I have what they call the ultimate secret weapon. She openly on Democracy Now! Talks about how anyone that starts criticizing Israel will be hit by the term anti-Semite or Holocaust denier. She says it's standard. We do it all the time. So I thought that was quite interesting. Then we have the Melbourne killer car. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, I encircled here because the car that is doing the donuts in the intersection, you can see it here, has a tow bar. I think it's called a tow bar on the back, on the rear of the car. It's tow hitch. What do you call it in English?
Yeah, tow bar, tow hitch, okay. All that.
You can see it there. This is when he's doing the donuts. But the car that is abandoned afterwards, where the police pulls out what looks like a dummy, I mean, they handle it absolutely like a dummy, has no tow bar on it. A minor mistake, not the same vehicle. Same with Charlie Hebdo when they made a major mistake with the two cars, the car that did the attack and the car that was abandoned, not the same vehicle. Anyway, so we go down. Here's the Santa Paul. Can you see? I have not done anything with this image. It is like that in the video footage. It looks bizarre. It's faded and they almost like pasted on a Santa Claus mask on the face of him. So here is an overview of where this happened. In this yellow circle, this is where he did the donuts, driving around and all of these things. And this is where this guy, when he was interviewed, Santa Paul, when I started looking for St. Paul's Cathedral, St. Paul's, whatever, Minneapolis, St. Paul's, I couldn't find anything. But here, in circle in red, right across the street is St. Paul's Cathedral. So I believe that this Santa Paul at the Fort Lauderdale shooting was a clue for the next upcoming. It's almost like a Dan Brown novel. I have no idea why they do it. I can only say I found out that they do it. So here we have the intersection where he was doing the donuts. You can see St. Paul's Cathedral on the other side. You can see the train station on the left. And then here is exactly when they started filming. This is one of the first frames of the footage and you can see the car is going to come here, just about to start doing the donuts, but it's already filmed. It's filmed. Somebody started filming before it actually happened, and zoomed out, you can see it's almost empty. The whole intersection is almost empty. And what is right in the center of the image, this tower, that I would humbly suggest looks a lot like the Big Ben Tower. Here you have another one. And I wrote, before the end of February, I put this newsletter together at the end of February, that is like almost a month before. I write, is it possible they're showing us their next target, Big Ben? Then underneath, the tower of the train station resembles Big Ben a lot. And you will see here on this footage, aerial footage, which is not where he did the donuts, which is not where the crime was done, which is not really where any of this took place, where there's loads and loads of police cars there, white police cars, sort of pulling the attraction into this image, also charging it somehow, you know, like I would say this could be the next one. And then today we have Parliament Terror. Now, please compare the footage I just showed you from my newsletter with this footage taken from Westminster Bridge, where that is one of the locations where this attack took place. Check out the tower, Westminster Building, and the bridge. You can see here on, let me see. It went into Street View, which is, but you can see it's an identical type of tower. I think that tower on the train station is done almost like a copy of the Westminster Building, and you can see very similar. So what I want to say is, don't buy this crap. Do not become worried. Do not become afraid of yet another terror attack. They are staged events. They are not real. Nobody died. I would unfortunately have to put effort into debunking this one as well, which is just getting very, very tiresome, because it's the same, and the same.
Ole, your work is simply sensational. How can people subscribe to your newsletter? I want to sign up. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Everyone needs to have access to what you're doing.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I'm a one-man band, so it's one of the few ways of income for me. It's lightonconspiracies.com, lightonconspiracies.com. And you can just go to newsletter. There's also donation buttons. There's a membership area, and so on. Because this is fantastic, Ole. You're solving them even before they're committed. It's really amazing. But I tell you, also another thing I want to point out is that there is a series of attacks ongoing here in Europe. And it started with, there's 2 attackers kill at least 2 people in the dozen, some catastrophically, blah, blah, blah. And do you know who was filming this whole thing? It was the Polish former member of the parliament who was filming this whole thing. You know, so here we have a connection with Poland again. Just as the truck in Berlin. So that for some reason they're pulling it in that way. So anyway, I totally doubt this as being the real thing. I would just close down this whole thing. And
well, I can't thank you enough, Ole, for giving us the latest installment in False Flag Chronicles. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Can I just go through because in January, there was a drill. I mean, I'm sure there will have been a drill in London very recently. I can almost guarantee it. That will have had the same scenario more or less, because in January, while the other attacks was happening in Melbourne and also in Jerusalem, which was also a staged event, there was they went out in the new media in Germany saying, we're going to have a drill, security drill in 4 different cities in March 7th to 9th. And it's going to be in Düsseldorf, I think Bremen, Frankfurt, and one more city, I can't remember. And it's going to be airport attacks, train station attacks, and one more. Yeah. And anyway, so I've just noted it, and then boom, the drill ended on March 9, and just on March 10, a few hours after it happened, there was an axe attack at a train station in Düsseldorf, one of the 4 cities where these drills were being carried out. What are the chances? Then there was a second attack in Düsseldorf as well. And then I think there was one more in a German city. What are the chances just hours after the drill with the same scenario? Excuse me, I had to yawn. Then it moved to France, and then we had very similar attacks in France, you know, both NATO countries, border to border. It's just a few hundred kilometers. You drive down there, you bring the same people, you carry out the same stuff. And where did it happen? In Paris, in exactly the same police district, District 11, as where was Charlie Hebdo, as were the Bataclan massacres, and most of these cafes that was attacked in the alleged Bataclan attack, November the 13th. Same people controlling the same area, so you don't have to use people from the outside. You just do it right in front of TV cameras, carry it out, boom, thank you, and goodbye. I do not trust it at all.
I love it. This is fascinating. We want to go to lightonconspiracies.com, sign up for Ole's newsletter. You're going to be right on top of current events, the latest. Ole, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share this information with us here on The Real Deal.
My pleasure.